Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 290 of Optimal Living Advice. I'm your host, Greg Audino, and this is our advice column style show here in the OLD network, where I take your questions about whatever it is that you're struggling with and offer some guidance and support. Now, normally, those questions pertain to certain situations that listeners might find themselves in and how to handle them or approach them differently. But sometimes, like in today's episode, the questions are more about the clarification of certain ideas, I guess. Our asker today is wondering what it really means to be intentional about how one spends one's time. Great opportunity to check back in about what we're really trying to do here in this life. So let's hear this question in its entirety. I'm going to read it now and provide my thoughts as we optimize your life. I'm new to personal development. So I'm sorry if this question sounds stupid, and I totally understand if you don't want to answer it. A few times I've heard you mention being intentional when it comes to time, and I don't think I know exactly what that means. So what does it mean to be intentional with how you spend your time or spend time intentionally? No stupid questions, asker. Come on now. Thanks for reaching out and giving your curiosity some space to breathe, even if you feel new to this or maybe out of your element. Actually, I think doing such a thing is a big part of what personal development is all about, so you are off to a flying start. So, depending on how much content you might have exposed yourself to of late, you might have also heard things like being mindful or being purposeful, maybe spending your time mindfully or purposefully. So within this context, it all basically means the same thing. It's generally a commentary on not letting life pass you by, not living on autopilot. I think being intentional about the way you spend your time is an extension of this commonly shared goal that we have to live a meaningful life. And as many look to craft a meaningful life, that usually means making very deliberate choices and spending the time that we have in a way that fuels meaning rather than wasting it on something that maybe isn't good for us or is only serving as a distraction or numbing us, etc. So, if we are actively in pursuit of a meaningful life, in order to spend the time that we've been given intentionally or in such a way that helps us achieve meaning, we need to know how we define a meaningful life. What's important to us? What do we value? And how can we support those values, or at the very least not work against them in each of our waking moments? Now, a lot of us have vague ideas as to how we would answer these questions, even if we haven't thought too extensively or deliberately about what it is that we cherish. Oftentimes, it's not so much of a hunt. So if you want to spend your time intentionally, think about what you're looking for in life, or what lights you up. And at some point, you might choose to think really critically about these things, where they stem from, and if they are indeed serving you as active choices rather than reactive ones. But for anyone starting out, it's nice to just take stock of what it is that we care about and how to make sure we're making time for it. So for you, it might be something really clear, like a goal to build your own business. Or it might just be the awareness that you really treasure time with your family and always go back to that when you're in need. And of course, for all of us, we have different things that bring us value. That's important to remember. It could be starting a business and spending time with family and eating healthy and getting fresh air. So to spend your time intentionally then, you would remind yourself of these things that bring you effortless joy and make sure that they're a big part of your life. So for dinner, you might choose to cook with the windows open and then eat outside rather than ordering in and eating fast food on the couch. And then when you're with family, you might make sure to put your phone away and look for new ways to help them or open up to them about something that you haven't opened up to them about. You might also try to dedicate a certain portion of your free time to building your own business or making extra time to pick the brains of entrepreneur friends that you have. So these are all means of spending time intentionally. Why? Because they support your values or the values from the example person that I was mentioning. And you can live fully by the things that matter to you rather than putting them off or distracting yourself with half-hearted efforts. Now, you might be thinking to yourself that this sounds a wee bit exhausting. Very good. It is exhausting if you don't allow yourself those breaks from time to time. It's very exciting to see opportunity everywhere, to be intentional, or, depending on who you are, it can also be very frightening to see opportunity everywhere, and thus opportunity for failure everywhere. Either way, know that this cannot be a full-time thing. Needing a break from trying to be our best selves, not having the energy to put our best foot forward and wake up smiling and ready to go every day, this is natural and this is sane. It can't be all progress all the time in the sense of constantly showing up and being zeroed in on improving your life. Healthy eaters can eat junk, entrepreneurs can take a day off, outdoor enthusiasts can spend a day inside, and family men and women can just want some alone time. And when the urges for these disruptions come up, it's essential for our mental health that we honor them and that we explore them, and of course not judge ourselves for having them. And honestly, to allow yourself this is to transcend the base idea of spending time intentionally and actually turn it into something much more beautiful and much more passive. To stay aware of your values and make time for them, yet also intentionally take time away when you need it without shaming yourself for passing up an opportunity to improve, that's a form of intentionality in itself. You're being intentional in that you're not neglecting your values or your need for rest. Aware of both and knowing that each one fuels the other rather than relying too much on one of them. That being the burnout of constantly trying to improve yourself or always resting and giving way to short-term gratification. So, in summary, to spend one's time intentionally the right way, or the best way, I guess, one is aware of their values and makes regular decisions to support those values. Yet, one also realizes that a big part of living by their values is not being a slave to them. Therefore, it is also a very intentional form of self-care to allow ourselves to take time away from our values when necessary, trusting that rest is different from escape, and enthusiastic to return to one's values when one is ready to. And when we're not enthusiastic to return, we keep putting it off, our values might be changing, or we might be struggling with something else that should be looked into. Okay, Asker. I hope this was a nice foray into the world of personal development for you and that it all made sense. Like I said, this is a big part of what a lot of us are trying to do, whether or not we are personal development practitioners. So I wish you all the best as you sort through all of this stuff, and of course encourage you to reach back out with any other questions that you might have. And I encourage all of you guys to do the same. Questions are how we keep this show going, of course, so keep on sending them in. You can email me with whatever it is that you're struggling with. Send your email to advice@oldpodcast.com. Advice@oldpodcast.com. I look forward to hearing from you forever and always. Okay, everyone. Take care. Thanks so much for coming today, and I will talk to you again on Friday for 291. That's where your optimal life awaits.